Mr. Chairman, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, this will not be a long political speech. Just know that I'm here to thank you for what you are doing to foster understanding, not just for our children, but for people of all ages, and to help move our world forward. I thought I'd have fun with my remarks tonight. Everyone is concerned about the economy and where we are headed. And if I were to say to you, in our adjacent state up in Michigan, going north, what is the most popular tourist site? Does anyone here know? Casino. Somebody said a casino. That's a good guess. Any other guesses?
Ford Village.
Ford Village, good guess.
Cabela's.
Who said Cabela's? Oh, the chairman of your board. Okay. You are right, Cabela's. And when you think about that, is that interesting to you?
Yes.
Because it fits exactly with, although they sell a lot of stuff, the idea that there is something important in nature and the public wants to see it. And children want to see it. That isn't really a place to learn very much, but it is a place to kind of get interested. And I'll give you a couple other figures. As just one representative from Ohio, I have the pleasure of representing Cedar Point, more familiarly known as the Roller Coast. Now, every year the Roller Coast gets 2.5 million visitors a year. And they empty the pockets of everyone who goes there. But what's even more interesting is if you travel to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, you sort of know the culture there, right? What's marketed out of Lancaster, Amish country. They get 7 million visitors a year. You say, what are people going for? Well, they're going for food. Cabela's doesn't do too well in that score. They're going for what they think is country. They're going for a certain set of cultural and artistic experiences. Just keep those two numbers in mind, 2.5 million and 7 million. And then think about what this museum represents at a key place on the Great Lakes, Lake Erie, the most drawn upon of all the lakes, the most prolific of all the lakes. More fish, more fauna than anywhere else in the entire Great Lakes system. And where we live, right at the edge of Lake Erie, the most sustainable place on Earth. It is very underrepresented. When you think about what we teach those who pass through here, and I'll say this critically, I get in some trouble for that, if you travel the Ohio Turnpike, as millions of people do, and you stop at the rest stops, you really don't know you're in Ohio. They're generic. Somehow, over the years, as development occurred, we didn't make it easy for people to know who we are or to discover more about the world in which we live. You have a treasure here that I'm sure many people have devoted their lives to building. It needs to be connected to a broader set of experiences across our region and given to the world. We at the national level worry about science, technology, engineering, math, all the sciences, the STEM programs that we try to help inspire our youth and draw them into the sciences. I was told by a group of health specialists here in Cuyahoga County that every year, this year, there are 1,700 jobs just in one set of health sciences that not a single person from Cuyahoga County can fill. And some of these health systems therefore have to advertise outside the borders of Cuyahoga County. Something is missing between what the market is looking for and the way we educate. So you are on the right track. I thought I would mention a couple other facts. I'm sure you know all these things, but we learn by working together. There's a wonderful book, Last Child in the Woods by Robert Lavelle. Has anybody read it? Okay, I'm glad some have read it. That book had a tremendous influence on me. And what it taught me was that most children today, and I commend you, Chairman Anderson, for your work involving second graders. Most children spend 8 hours in front of a blue screen today of some form, every day. And not only do they not go outdoors, but they're afraid of it. That's a shocking thing to think about for a nation, really, that was discovered by missionaries and by adventurers who managed to sail up here and figure out a way to map the Great Lakes. And our youth have to be inspired in the same way. Youth throughout this region, youth across the country, we simply couldn't do enough. And to help them feel comfortable in nature again, not be afraid of it, but to understand more about it, and to the extent we can, survive it. I think you provide a really important introductory platform for that set of experiences. I'm glad to see this museum here because when I think about Washington, D.C. and your tax money that comes to Washington, so much of it stays there. And one of the challenges I feel I have in my job that I haven't managed to master yet is for all the museums that are there, most Americans that I represent can't afford to get there. And so as we build additional museums and we develop additional collections, how do we make them available to places like this? And help America come to America. Help return what the American people are giving in the nation's capital to the people who made it possible in the first place. I think that whether we're talking about your PNC Smart House or some of the exhibits here, or a challenge that I have that I haven't been able to meet, and I'll just mention it because this year we will commemorate the War of 1812 in this region of the country and on the continent, and we will share that with our Canadian brethren. We're working on that right now through the Department of Interior. How good will we really present that event, that set of events in this region to those who will travel here to experience it? Are we really prepared to present what life was like then and what it is like now, and how we have learned to live together and share the longest border, really, in North America, and develop the political systems that we have had. If you come to the Native American Museum in Washington, D.C., there are some phenomenal collections. But I'll tell you, as one member of Congress, I was disappointed in myself when I looked at one of the exhibits on forgotten tribes. And I looked up there and it has hundreds and hundreds of names. And I came upon the name of Catawba. I represent Catawba Island. I didn't know it was a disappeared tribe. And then I began thinking about a powwow that I attended about a year ago. And I was dancing and learning all these new movements. And I thought, gosh, we were never taught about this. I wonder how this relates to what life was like here. And we had people present to us, French trappers and representatives of various tribes, and I thought, we have a lot of work to do to really understand the part of the world in which we live, develop a deeper appreciation for our heritage, and pass it on to the future. So I'm just excited to be here tonight to share those few thoughts with you, to tell you you are on the right track, and to ask you to continue to envision how this museum and the region in which we live can better present ourselves to the larger world and to market ourselves in a way that draws in more than 2.5 million visitors, that manages to link the assets that we have. And I'll tell you about an asset you might not know about. If you drive west of Cleveland and you go along Route 2, you'll come to Sandusky and you'll proceed west between Sandusky and Toledo, and you will find the only wildlife refuges in the state of Ohio. They were made possible through philanthropy first and donation by people who would use those facilities for gun clubs. And then over 2.5 decades of effort to expand those wildlife refuges to now well over 10,000 acres. And they are very open. It leaves the lake open to future generations. We are very proud of that accomplishment, and you will see the Ottawa National Wildlife Visitor Center